Happy morning, children. Today we are going to see about the functions of money. Four important functions of money. First one is the primary function. Second one is a secondary function. Third one is a contingent function. Fourth one is a other function. Now we are going to see about the primary function. Primary functions gives two important functions, that is the medium of exchange and measure of value. The first one is the money as a medium of exchange. Money has the quality of general acceptability and all exchange takes place in the terms of money. Transaction divided into two parts. Money is obtained through sales of goods and services, that is known as sale. Money is obtained to buy goods and services, this is known as purchase. The second one is a money as a measure of value. Second important functions of money is that it measures the value of goods and services. The price of all goods and services are expressed in the terms of money. Money is thus looked upon the collective measure of value. The second one is a secondary function. Secondary function, the money serves as an excellent store of value. Money, it can be easily converted into other marketable assets like land, machinery, plant, etc. This point is coming under the money as the store of value. The second one is a money as a standard of deferred payment. Under the barter economy, borrowing and lending were difficult problems. But in the modern economy as a greatly facilitate the borrowing and lending process. Now money acts as a standard of deferred payment. The next one is the money as a means of transferring purchasing power. In exchange also went extent with the growing economic development. So it is necessary to transfer purchasing power from one place to another place. The next important function is contingent function. Contingent function, basic of credit system. Money is the basis for credit system. Business transactions are either in the cash or on credit. For example, a depositor make use of check only when there are a sufficient fund in his account. Okay, the second one is the money facilitates distribution of national income. Intervention of money facilitated the distribution of income like rent, wages, interest and profit. And third function under the contingent, money helps to equalize the marginal utilities and marginal productivity. Money plays an important role because the price of the commodities are expressed in the terms of money. So it helps to equalize the marginal productivities. Then fourth function, money increases productivity of capital. Money is most liquid form of capital. Capital can be transferred from less to more productive use. Yes. Then other functions means the money helps to maintain the repayment capacity. Every firm has to keep assets in the form of liquid cash. Even a bank, insurance companies and government has to keep the liquid money. Money represents a generalized purchasing power. Money is the most liquid form of capital, so it can be put to any use. So these are the important other functions of the money. The next one is the supply of money. Supply of money means money supply means the total amount of money circulation in the economy at any given time. It plays a crucial role in the determination of price level and interest rate. It is viewed at the given point of time, it is a stock. Over a period of time, it is the flow. In India, currency notes are issued by RBI, the Reserve Bank of India. Coins are issued by Ministry of Finance, the Government of India, GOI. The currency notes also called fiat money and legal tender. Okay, these are the supply of money. The next one is the components of money. Money supply is a stock variables. RBI published 4 alternative measures of money supply, that is M1, M2, M3, M4. M1 is equal to currency, coins and demand deposits. Everything coming under the M1. M2 means M1 and plus saving deposits with the post office savings banks. And then M3 is equal to M2 plus time deposits of all commercial and cooperative banks. M4 is equal to M3 plus total deposits with the post office. Here M1 and M2 are known as a narrow money. M3 and M4 are known as the broad money. Okay, all of you understand these components of money. Money supply is a stock variables. Okay, the next one is a determinants of money supply. Determinants. The first one is a currency deposits ratio. Currency deposits ratio, CDR. It is the ratio of money that should be held in the bank deposits. This is a currency deposit ratio. The second one is a reserve deposit ratio, RDR. It consists of two different things. The first one is the valid cash in bank. The second one is the deposits of commercial bank with RBI. This is a reserve deposit ratio. Third one is the cash reserve ratio, CRR. It is the fraction of deposits that banks must keep with RBI. Then fourth one is a Statutory liquidity ratio SLR. It is the fraction of total demand and time deposits of the commercial banks in the form of specified liquid assets. These are coming under the determinants of money supply. The next one is a quantity theories of money. It is the relationship between the quantity of money and value of money. Two approaches of quantity of theory of money. First one is the Cambridge cash balance approaches. Second one is the Fisher's transaction approaches. Two different approaches are there. The first one is the Fisher's quantity theory of money. It is the old theory. It was proposed in 1588 by an Italian economist, but the theory was popularized by American economist Irving Fisher. His book The Purchasing Power of Money in 1911. Here the equation is MV is equal to PT. M is denotes the money supply, V is denotes the velocity, P is denotes the price level, and T is denotes the transaction. Here MV is the money spent, PT is the value of goods and services. The diagrammatic explanation of Fisher's equations. Okay, the diagrammatic expression here, the two different diagrams are there. Upper one is a diagram A, bottom one is a diagram B. Okay, the diagram A shows the effective of changes in quantity of money and the price level. When the quantity of money is OM, the price level is OP. When the quantity of money is doubled to OM2, the price level is also doubled OP2. Further, when the quantity of money is increased fourfold to OM4, the price level also increased by 4 times to OP4. This relation is expressed by the curve OP is equal to F within a bracket M, the function of money from the origin at 45 degree. The diagrams B, it shows the inverse relationship between the quantity of money and the value of money, where the value of money is taken on the vertical axis. When the quantity of money is OM, the value of money is OI divided by P. But with the doubling the quantity of money OM2, the value of money becomes 1/2 of what it was before. That is a OI divided by P2. But with the quantity of money increasing by 4-fold to OM4, the value of money is reduced OI divided by P4. This inverse relationship between the quantity of money and the value of money is shown by downward sloping curve I O divided by P is equal to F of M. Then next one is the next one is a Cambridge approaches. Under the Cambridge approaches, two equations are there. The first one is the Marshall's equation, another one is the Keynes equations. The first one is a Marshall's equation. M is equal to KPY, where M is a quantity of money, Y is a aggregate level income of community, P is a purchasing power of money. Then K is represents the fraction of real income which the public desire to hold in the form of money. The price level P is equal to M divided by KY, or the value of money. The reciprocal of price level is I divided by P is equal to KY divided by M. The value of money in the terms of this equation can be found out the dividing the total quantity of goods which the public desire to hold out the total income by the total supply money. According to Marshall equations, the value of money is influenced not only by change in M but also by change in K. The next one is a Keynes theory. Keynes equations is expressed as N is equal to Pk or P is equal to N divided by K. Here N denotes the total supply of money. P is a general price level of consumption goods. K is the total quantity of consumption units the people decide to keep in the form of cash. Keynes indicates K is the real balance because it is a measure in the terms of consumer goods. According to Keynes, people's desire to hold money is unaltered by monetary authority. So the price level and value of money can be stabilized through the regulating the quantity of money by monitoring authority. The equations is N is equal to P of within a bracket K plus R K dash R. P is equal to N divided by within a bracket K plus R K dash. Here N denotes the total money supply, P denotes the price level of consumer goods, K denotes the people desire to hold money in hands, R is equal to cash reserve ratio, K dash is the community's total money deposits in the bank in the term of consumer goods. These are the two important equations, Marshall's equations, and another one is a Keynes equations coming under the Cambridge approaches. All of you understand, children?